Good morning, one and all. For those of you who have been to prior MedTech events, you hear me constantly harp at the audience to make sure they're making good use of the networking opportunity. So it's really encouraging to see that you folks are good self-starters in terms of networking. And it's fantastic to see faces in person. So thank you very much for making it today. So good morning and welcome to the New York Biomed Industry Workforce Summit. I'm Thurlow, Executive Director of MedTech, the trade association for New York's life sciences ecosphere. We're pleased to welcome you here today as we bring together leaders from industry, government, and education to tackle our workforce crisis. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsoring partner, NYSTAR, Empire State Development's Division of Science, Technology, and Innovation, for underwriting today's program. Through NYSTAR, New York invests in the innovation economy with programs and tools designed to enable businesses to become more competitive. NYSTAR assets such as the Centers for Advanced Technology, Centers of Excellence, the New York Manufacturing Extension Partnerships, and others help MedTech members grow and thrive. We thank NYSTAR for its continuing support. I'd like to give a shout out as well to MedTech's members, and most especially those companies that support our work at the sustaining level: AngioDynamics, ConMed, Fisher Scientific, Ortho Clinical Diagnostics, and Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. These leading biomed companies understand the value of a strong life sciences and biotechnology economy in this state, and their support allows us to produce programs like today's summit. And now to the reason that we're gathered here today. Each day, in places like Amherst, Henrietta, Skaneateles, Utica, and Rensselaer, biomed industry employees head to work and produce life-saving and life-enhancing devices, drugs, and medical treatments relied upon by patients around the globe. The biomed industry employs thousands of workers across New York in fields that include research, advanced manufacturing, engineering, bioinformatics, artificial intelligence, and software. These good, high-paying jobs enhance our communities and create opportunities for all New Yorkers. The biomed industry has transformed the economy of upstate New York. In Buffalo, public-private collaborations have made Western New York an internationally recognized center for high-tech, health-related startups, attracting capital and workers from around the world. Similar investments are paying dividends in Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, and in regions like the North Country and the Southern Tier, areas that have struggled mightily over the past few decades. Bolstered by New York's world-class universities, many of them are in the room today, its unparalleled physical assets and rich tradition of entrepreneurship, the biomed industry is propelling the future of the state's economy. However, our ability to grow, attract private investment, and position New York State as the choice for the next generation of workers is imperiled by the current workforce crisis. Put simply, our industry cannot recruit and retain enough qualified workers to meet demand. In some instances, potential workers lack the necessary skills, while in other cases, logistical obstacles create barriers. While the reasons for this crisis are multifaceted, if we don't solve this problem now, we risk the future of New York's economy. We applaud Governor Hochul for recognizing the significance of this challenge. Her state budget calls for unprecedented investments in workforce development and worker education. Her comprehensive plan reimagines and overhauls New York's approach to workforce development by focusing on regional needs, creating and expanding access to career services, and identifying innovative ways to build the workforce of the future. These initiatives ensure that New York and its workers will remain competitive on the world stage, and we urge the legislature to pass them. At the same time, government intervention alone cannot solve this problem. Rather, all stakeholders, both public and private, must work together to overcome hurdles and implement solutions. The old approach that pits communities and businesses against one another isn't working. We must bring the spirit of disruption that is the hallmark of the biomed industry to this task. While novel approaches carry risk, the willingness to face up to risk is in our industry's DNA. For these reasons, we're convening today's summit. In this room are leaders from across the state and from across perspectives with the goal of forging meaningful collaborations that advance our shared interests. We hope to open a dialogue between elected officials, education experts, and private industry with the aim of breaking down silos and building meaningful partnerships. I encourage you to be an active participant in today's discussion and not simply a passive consumer. We've invited you here today because you are a stakeholder and as such possess part of the solution to our workforce challenges. I encourage you to ask questions, reach out to your fellow participants, and engage fully in today's conversation. We are the industry that rose to the challenge of COVID, the industry that will cure chronic disease, and the industry that is improving the lives of every person on this planet. We can solve this problem too. With that, I'm pleased and honored to present our keynote speaker. Hope Knight serves as the acting commissioner and president and CEO designate of Empire State Development, New York's economic development agency. She was nominated to the position by Governor Kathy Hochul after more than 2 decades in economic development across the public and private sector. A Queens native, Commissioner Knight holds a BA from Marymount Manhattan College and an MBA from the University of Chicago's Graduate School of Business. This is her first time joining us, and we're excited to have her here today. Please help me welcome our keynote speaker, ESD Commissioner Hope Knight.
So good morning, and thank you for that kind introduction, Wynn. And thanks for bringing us all here together today. This is one of my first opportunities to do one of these things in person, so it's great to be with you. You know, it's a pleasure, especially because MedTech and ESD NYSTAR have had this partnership through the years. And since this is the first time I'm here to join you, I want to tell you a little bit about my background. As Wynn said, in late October, Governor Hochul nominated me to be President and CEO of ESD, the state's economic development agency. Before that, I spent 2 decades in economic development, especially focused on communities that needed support the most. Prior to my coming to ESD, I served more than 6 years as the President and CEO of the Greater Jamaica Development Corporation, one of the oldest economic development entities in the state. We have focused on community building efforts and responsible real estate projects that generate sustainable growth. Prior to Greater Jamaica, I spent 12 years at the Upper Manhattan Empowerment Zone, and I also served on the New York City Planning Commission, and I worked internationally in the private sector. My experience has taught me that economic development is about expanding opportunity. Frankly, opportunity is the reason why I'm here before you today, nominated by New York's first female governor to be the first African American to lead ESD. I share Governor Hochul's commitment to expanding economic opportunity, and it should be the foundation of ESD's programs, projects, and priorities. Economic development is how ESD supports the governor's broader goal of expanding opportunity across the state. While there's no one-size-fits-all approach to economic development, I've seen the transformative impact of community empowerment, where state and local government collaborate with stakeholders to encourage new investments and create jobs. A top priority for the state and for ESD has been investing in research and life sciences. And it comes at a time when we're seeing unprecedented private investments in the industry. Between 2019 and 2020, New York ranked 3rd for private investment dollars in life sciences. Private firms invested $2.3 billion into New York State life sciences companies during that period, tripling the $820 million invested the previous year. By leading the way in development, advanced manufacturing, and commercialization, New York can continue to attract business, investments, and jobs. Many of you familiar with NYSTAR and some of the 70+ centers it supports across the state. Working together with New York's private and public universities, NYSTAR's network forges relationships and encourages collaboration between schools and new and existing businesses. This helps to grow critical ecosystems in strategic industries like advanced manufacturing with dedicated centers at Clarkson and SUNY Poly, and life science centers at schools like Cornell and Stony Brook. We're also investing in development and commercialization of solutions to infectious diseases. The state's $40 million Biodefense Commercialization Fund will provide funding to grow New York life science ecosystem and advance employment opportunities while fostering the creation of new businesses and supporting industry growth. It's also becoming increasingly clear that the biggest challenges and opportunities for New York is developing a skilled workforce. Governor Hochul's State of the State outlined a bold economic development agenda. Her agenda includes reimagining workforce development in New York and mobilizing state agencies to work collectively on initiatives that achieve her goal. In my 5 months at ESD, everywhere I go, I hear from businesses that they are struggling to fill jobs. There's a mismatch between jobs available and the skills needed to be successful in those jobs, even at a time when unemployment is still very high. Some of the companies that you represent may be facing these challenges. That is why, under Governor Hochul's leadership, we are launching a new Office of Workforce and Economic Development. The new office will be housed at ESD, building off of our history, association, and standing with the larger business community. It will focus on identifying employer workforce needs by working with companies and industries to determine the skills they need in employees, and then training New Yorkers for those quality careers of the future. Despite being a statewide initiative, we recognize the strengths and needs that in our regions are different. Industries and skill sets needed in the Finger Lakes may vary from those in the North Country, or Hudson Valley, or Long Island. That's why we'll engage regional stakeholders to help shape the strategies, businesses, industry associations, workforce trainers, educational institutions, and wrap-around service providers. The new office will coordinate its efforts through the Regional Economic Development Councils in partnership with the Department of Labor, SUNY, CUNY, and other state agencies. Additionally, we recognize the need to get these investments out of the door quicker. Under the governor's plan, the state will help to determine workforce funding on a real-time, ongoing basis. This will provide greater flexibility to address the dynamic and changing needs of business. Through this inclusive, regionally focused, employer-driven strategy, we can extend opportunities for new, sustainable careers for more New Yorkers. And we can provide businesses with a talent pipeline that encourages growth and investments. The administration is taking a holistic approach to economic growth, one that extends beyond the confines of traditional economic development policy to address the issues at hand. As part of Governor Hochul's plan, she wants to make it easier for New Yorkers to move between education and career. By providing students with the ability and assistance to earn credentials on their own timeline and in a cost-effective manner. Expanding part-time tuition assistance programs, more people would be able to attend classes without upending their lives, especially parents and dislocated workers. The governor wants to leverage our world-class SUNY and CUNY schools, as well as our incredible private college and universities, to develop public-private funding partnerships and create new internship opportunities. Let's get more students engaged with more companies while they're still studying so that they graduate with the skills they need to hit the ground running. Governor Hochul recognizes that not all workforce needs can be solved by degree programs. Apprenticeships are crucial to many industries, including high-growth fields like healthcare and advanced manufacturing. Right now, New York has more than 18,000 apprentices in 975 registered apprenticeship programs. To help expand access to these emerging fields, the governor wants to increase apprenticeship funding at CUNY and SUNY schools and provide financial support for non-degree workforce training. Her plan also targets traditionally underrepresented groups like women and people of color, and proposes to create a pre-apprenticeship portal so New Yorkers can find the program and field that is right for them. The underlying theme to all of this is opportunity, creating more opportunities for New Yorkers to participate in a 21st century economy, and for businesses to grow in New York State with a workforce whose talent is second to none. These are just a few of the priorities from the governor's State of the State. Her bold and comprehensive agenda also includes major investments in expanding access to shovel-ready sites, growing the small businesses that are vital to our communities, and rebuilding our infrastructure. Each of these efforts will help catalyze economic growth as we continue to rebuild stronger, more equitable, and more resilient. And we look forward to partnering with you on each of them every step of the way. So we continue to live in unprecedented times. The governor has called this a new era for New York. The pandemic has presented new and novel challenges, and the recovery offers us new opportunities for business, new opportunities for innovation, and new opportunities for a more inclusive, equitable, shared economic growth. Working together, I'm confident that we can overcome challenges of today and build New York's economy back stronger and more resilient. ESD and New York State will continue to support the ideas and innovation and businesses looking to grow across the state. We look forward to our continued partnerships with you and our colleagues and friends in economic development. Please continue to engage with Matt Watson and his team at NYSTAR and with ESD's regional offices to learn more about how to get involved with these programs as they launch. I'm excited about all the things we'll be able to accomplish together, and I'm grateful to share this message with you today. Thank you.
Sen. Thank you, Commissioner Knight. It's terrific to have you here. I'm wondering if we could maybe, if I could ask you a couple of questions, and I'd open the floor up to the audience. Those of you who have been to other MedTech events know that if you don't interrupt Win Thurlow, he will spend the rest of the afternoon talking. So don't allow me to do that. But you and I, Commissioner, were talking earlier before the program, and I was expressing some of the frustration that I think perhaps both private industry and I suspect your office sometimes experience in terms of connecting with one another. And I made probably the snotty remark that, you know, in the history of time, nobody has ever woken up in the morning and logged on to New York's website to see what they could do for me. And I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about how can folks better navigate the terrain of the initiatives and programs that ESD has?
Sure. So I'll talk about workforce first. The reason why Governor Hochul put forward this centralized office in ESD is because there were a number of workforce development efforts around the state. So we have the Workforce Investment Board, we have programs at the Department of Labor, and other programs across the state. And so this new office is intended to be sort of a one-stop shop to answer questions around workforce development and how to engage with the state in getting support with respect to workforce training, getting support for workers, and also understanding how to get support for some of these wraparound services that are key for getting folks connected to work.
I'm wondering if you could tell me, are there specific funding opportunities that private business can avail itself of?
There are dozens of opportunities that private business can afford, access programs. I would say the easiest way is to connect with the regional office. We have 10 regional offices around the state, and that's one thing that you can find easily on our website. Connecting with our regional offices will provide you with specific expertise of your territory and connect you with the appropriate programs or projects that are relevant to your business.
Terrific, thank you. I don't know, are there any questions here in the audience? I guess one other question that I would have for you is, we've talked a lot today about what New York State government is doing for the industry. How can the industry help New York State government?
Well, I think, with respect to this workforce development initiative, really, we really like the engagement of industry because you know what your needs are, and to the extent you can help us determine what the right curriculum is for workforce development programs so that we can get people that are trained specifically for your needs. And so we're going to start with businesses first in terms of developing these programs. A lot of times these programs are developed by the service providers, and they kind of miss the mark with respect to the training that's needed. So we're going to start, on the demand side of this equation first.
So correct me if I'm wrong, I heard an invitation to reach out to Empire State Development from industry with some thoughts, ideas, suggestions on how we might partner better and what our needs are.
That is correct. And again, I would direct you to our regional offices because we have something called the Regional Economic Development Councils. And those are the folks that will be working specifically on the workforce development effort. Here's a question. So I'll talk, about the regional economic development councils. In some cases where we determine that there's a deficit in sort of child care facilities, we will work with that region to develop, a child care facility, particularly if there's a large employer that has employees that have that need to fund those kinds of programs. The other thing that we are looking at is creating this notion of career laddering. So, folks that go into entry-level jobs, to the extent that they need some training to move up the career ladder, we would partner with a company to help facilitate that. So there are a number of activities that ESD can get involved in to help companies grow and invest.
Terrific.
So we understand that pipeline is important, and one of the things that we're trying to do is work with our, sister brother agencies on the K-12 side to create programs to help, particularly on in the STEM area, to build pipeline.
Terrific. Any other questions before we let Commissioner Knight leave? Well, listen, on behalf of MedTech, and on behalf of New York's biomed industry, Commissioner Knight, thank you for being here. We appreciate your efforts, Governor Hochul's efforts, and we look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.